Hello there, this is Dr. Samurai. This time, I would like to conclude a series of my 50-minute lectures on my prison friends and also dictatorial world leaders. As you have seen behind the closed door of each family, especially during the critical period of 0 to 2 years old or 4 years old at maximum, the abuse and neglect blocks the normal development of human emotions, which distort and disfigures the person's personality and also cause them to lose normal human emotions. This is called human distractions, which parallels to environmental distractions, which we are talking about so often worldwide. And I would like you to know these two distractions of humans and environments are progressing at the same speed and reached pretty much the same level. So what I'm saying here is now everybody knows the environmental distraction went too far, right? Here I am saying, although we cannot see it so clearly as environmental distractions, human distractions went as far as environmental distractions. I would like you to know. And what this means is, however wealthy we become in materials and money, and however long we may be able to live, if our society is filled with people who have dark minds hid behind the smiley faces, we cannot live as human beings because we are social animals. And that means the society we communicate and exchange with others does not exist anymore because everybody has ulterior motives that could hurt you or your loved ones. Nobody wants to live in such a society, right? But that could happen if we keep destroying human minds. All these are happening because we shift the very basis of our society from nature to capitalism, which only runs on eternal development and invasion into nature. That is to say, it only runs on the destruction of our nature. And this shift of ours to the destructive social basis is the root cause of the biggest social pathology, I would like to say. And as many of you may notice, this capitalism is getting very close to its limit on this small earth. That is why there are so many leaders who advocate their nation first. They know they should grab what is available as fast as they can. Today is such an unbelievable level of competitive world that we are living. There's global warming, ocean plastics, abnormal weather, corona crisis, and abuse and neglect as human distractions. All these are symptoms due to the capitalism we chose. For us to continue this destructive capitalism as it is now is physically impossible on this earth, which we can fly around only in 35 hours. It is such a small, tiny planet. If we are serious about reinstating this one and the only planet with living beings and lives, we need to shift our basis of the society back to the original rule of the earth. that is nature and natural providence, which means nature's intention. We need to be more appreciative to this whole earth and all the living beings and plants on this planet. To put it more clear, we need to accept the fact that we human beings are just a part of nature, and we need to regain the sense of loving animals and our animalistic nature, and we need to come to love it. In today's world, which is getting more and more digitalized world over, we are all losing a tight attachment with our mothers, and our senses and emotions are getting shallower, and our true contacts to other human beings and other living beings is getting fewer and fewer. In short, we are losing our empathy world over, which is the very basis of the safety of a society. Empathy we are losing. For example, in a crowded bus, we give our seat to the elderly, right? But today, most of those people are doing it because they learned it is socially right. But what I'm saying here is we must put it back to the situation in which we feel like doing it. We cannot help giving it to the person by this strong, uncontrollable drive from inside. That is our impulse. That is a big difference whether we are doing it by our recognition or by our genuine feelings. Does that make sense? Even if we are doing the same thing, we do it because we know it's right, and would we do it because we want to do it. There's a big difference. There's such a big gap between those two. And to fill this world with the people who cannot help doing it by their impulse and inner emotion is how to fix our root cause of social pathology from the very base. It is not recognition or knowledge or understanding that we need in today's society. It is the warm feeling and genuine empathy to others that we need to treat today's pathological society, to feel love towards those who do not have anything to do with ourselves or those living beings that is not our pet, is itself the correction of our trajectory. That is the correction of our course. Let's start with the appreciation of something subtle at least once a day. First, let's start with the appreciating dandelions that is growing on the side of the road. Or let's start with the being impressed by the scene in which crow parents picked up some worms and fly back to their nest to give it to their baby birds. Let's start with caring about such tiny things that happens daily, or doing something kind to others or other living beings who are independently living their lives. The important point is starting to grow and regain our original and genuine sense of empathy towards other living beings who is a neighbor of ours on this same earth. Please listen to this very carefully, okay? All the social pathologies, which is at the world level, the very root cause of such social pathology is our daily lives and human civilizations despise nature, which means the state as it is, the beauty and attraction of what it naturally is. Our human civilization and our daily lives and our feelings deep down despise nature and denies nature and diverted from it, and now heading towards the direction of everything artificial like Disneyland rather than beautiful rivers nearby, for the earth to achieve true stability and for us to attain true happiness on this earth. We human beings and our civilization must head towards the reunification with nature and integration with the nature. That is it. Human minds and human civilization must look at the direction of the nature to be reunited and to be reintegrated. You understand this, right? And all those living beings we see on this earth are not our resources. This is becoming the level that is pathological today. We see lobsters only as our foods. We see birds only as our foods. We see cows only as our steaks. That is pathological. We cannot see them as our friends anymore. That is the root cause of natural distraction that leads to human distraction. Distraction of nature within human beings. All those living beings are our partners. We are just chimpanzees whose foods are 95% plant origin, and the DNA of human beings and chimpanzees is 95% identical. And knowing the fact only human beings eat steaks, cows, and chickens as our main food, I will tell you what, our flat faces. But I'm not meaning I am being an Asian. Human beings' flat faces means we are not made to bite into the body of such animals. Do you understand? Our facial bones, especially our jaws, are not made to bite into other animals because we are not designed to be predators. I repeat that again. We are not designed to be predators. We are apes, to tell you the truth. And that is the science which we cannot deny and we must admit. If each one of us world over start to do just one good things to nature or other living beings, looking for no rewards, as a social pathologist, I promise to you that the world will change only with one good act by each one of us world over. The world will change. That's it. It's so simple. It all depends on whether we want to do it or not. For example, I am not talking about the radical things, implicating Arizona or, New Mexico. But if everybody stops using air conditioners, it will probably lower their summer temperature at least by 3 degrees. More likely like 5 degrees if everybody does it. That is the level. If the highest temperature goes 5 degrees down, that is the level that we can live without air conditioners, As a matter of fact, I did not turn on the air conditioners even once during this crazy hot summer season in Tokyo. I have never used even once, and I'm still alive by using only big fans. I think all of you have remembered that I often mentioned no invasion, not to invade into others' territory and not to be invaded by others. That is the iron rule and the very basis of human law, I believe. And one of the major goals of ours is to make sure that no invasion rule world over. In that sense, this corona crisis is probably the last biggest chance to change our lifestyles. Now, in every country, they are talking about not to spread the infections while promoting the economy. Those two are plus and minus, totally opposite acts. Doesn't everybody feel that's ironical? That's paradoxical? That's inconsistent? Doesn't everybody feel these two are inconsistent acts, totally different than each other? As a social pathologist, I would interpret this corona crisis as meaning we should get back to life in which we don't have to intentionally be active in selling and buying and meeting with others, not necessarily. This is the warning that comes from nature, that we should live not to be intentionally active. We should able to be living without being intentionally active. That is what this corona crisis means. And I'm going to talk about a little bit of technical things about how to put the way of living not intentionally active possible. We should first start out with abandoning welfare and unemployment benefit. Instead, we put those things together to make it universal basic income. And although now each country is providing subsidies to individuals or businesses during this corona crisis, we will make it part of our continual policy. That means we keep providing minimum money with which we can live decent lives in 1 month, every month, while we are alive, by abandoning all the other benefits like welfares and unemployment benefits and those things. Do you understand? We stop giving those things by each small category, but we put it together and give it to everybody, the amount of money that they can make a living for 1 month decently. And that will stop people's unnecessary desire for work and people's unnecessary sense of duty for work. And because of that, businesses, the owners of businesses, can advance and progress automation by 3D replicators and AIs all the way. And by that, they can lower down the cost of production as much as possible. And we also ask those global companies that provides the global infrastructures, for example, for communications like Google's and whatnot. We ask such global infrastructure companies, which people have to pay certain amount of money every day to make their digitalized living, to give back part of their income to society in order to circulate people's money. It is possible to give them certain privilege in exchange for that, and using that money from their big infrastructure companies to run our society. Also, we should separate the whole world into certain size of blocks consisting of, say, several countries or 10 or 15 countries. We divide the whole world into smaller number of blocks, and the leader of each blocks collect what their countries need and create development plans every month and hand it in to, say, worldwide commissions where each block leader, all of them, attend periodically, at least once a month, and to get approval by those attending leaders from the perspective of sustainability of this planet. We can also solve international problems or conflicts in that world commissions until it is solved by the mediations of other countries. At the same time, it might be a good idea to establish global fund, and we decide the theme and the area we should provide our subsidies by the discussion by the world commissions. And we probably do not need to control our population intentionally to increase or to maintain. Because if it should follow nature's law, human population could very well have reached a bottleneck level in natural world. You understand? It is already too many to survive on this small planet. So we should not control intentionally the number of our population and let it decrease gradually and naturally. I can tell you one thing for sure. Most of the world citizens, once their decent lives are guaranteed by universal basic income, they should feel certain level of security and will not feel repulsive to this new direction. If we can bring the whole world to this level, I think we could feel we can do it if we reach that level. Once again, I repeat, by guaranteeing the minimum decent lives at individual levels by universal basic income, we attain certain level of satisfaction for each individual. And then, based on that, by education and using the mass media, we will heighten the awareness, our awareness for this whole earth. Not like we are doing now, heightening the awareness of each nation or nationalism. You know, this is against physical law. So one bowl, one sphere, to attain a stable state, it has to integrate into one. But now, what is happening is to compartmentalize this whole sphere into small nations. That is the weakest state from their external pressure and stress. And that is what is happening now under the stress of corona crisis, because the world is compartmentalized into small pieces. We have to integrate if we repel this anxiety from COVID-19. And I am saying, with this universal basic income, people feel minimum security for their future, and they can afford to pay attention to education that will heighten their awareness for this whole earth and other living beings, not only human beings, not only your own pets, and not only your own family, but all the other living beings and all the other human beings and all the rivers and oceans and mountains. That is what we are talking about. Now we only care about our own possessions, and that is the reason why the whole earth is breaking up and breaking down, because we do not pay any attention to others on this small community. If we keep being like that, this small community will not last. That is what I am talking about. But if with this universal basic income and education about this planet, majority of people start to feel happiness, I think our attainment of the true happiness on this planet Earth will be just around the corner. And we can do it by acting correctly, utilizing this chance of corona crisis. Although my topic became a little bit too broad. This is the conclusion of this series of my 50-minute lectures of international social pathology. Thank you very, very, very much for listening to my lecture up to the very end. Now you are my students, although even if I couldn't see each other's face. But I will be very happy that my students will be all over the world looking at the same pages and sharing the same genuine feelings towards this earth and improving this world situation. Thank you very much again. This is the beginning of our action. The end of my minute lecture series is actually the point that you are ready to act as a leader of wherever you are. And let's work together towards the same direction world over. We can make it. We can maintain and we can avoid man-made apocalypse if you, as my students, will all cooperate and work together. Okay? Thank you very, very much for your graduation. I will see you somewhere, sometime. Okay? Bye-bye now. And let's have a wonderful time together on this same earth community. Okay? Thank you.